If you need to hire, you need Indeed. Indeed is your matching and hiring platform with over 350 million global monthly visitors according to Indeed data and a matching engine that helps you find quality candidates fast. And Indeed doesn't just help you hire faster. 93% of employers agree Indeed delivers the highest quality matches compared to other job sites, according to a recent Indeed survey. With Indeed, everything hiring is all in one place, and it makes it so easy. Leveraging over 140 million qualifications and preferences each day, Indeed's matching engine is constantly learning from your preferences. The more you use Indeed, the better it gets. Join the more than 3.5 million businesses worldwide that use Indeed to hire great talent fast. And listeners of this show will get a $75 sponsored job credit to get your jobs more visibility at Indeed.com/podcast. Just go to Indeed.com/podcast right now and support our show by saying you heard about Indeed on this podcast. Terms and conditions apply. Indeed.com/podcast. Need to hire? You need Indeed.
Hello, everyone, in podcast listening land. I'm Karen Devaney.
And I'm Anne Varner.
And we're sisters.
Welcome to Sugar-Coated Murder, where we'll discuss
And probably inappropriately laugh about and comment on.
Yep, one of our favorite subjects,
Murder. Oh, and we love to bake. And why not combine our two favorite subjects?
Baking
And killers. And hello.
Hello.
I'm Karen Devaney.
Are you sure?
I was about to mess that up. But I'm Karen Devaney.
And I'm Anne Varner.
And welcome to Sugar-Coated Murder Podcast.
Yay!
Yay us. Yes, we're
flipping it around again.
Yeah, we're flipping it around. We're in my kitchen today, which is awesome.
Yay.
I like it. I like it a lot. And Anne is cooking, which is something I really enjoy.
Yeah.
And I'm the one-armed bandit right now because I've had shoulder surgery and I'm in this weird sling, I don't know, what do they call immobilizer thing that's got some kind of a wedge. There's a wedge that's been driven between me and my arm.
Yes, you've been wedged.
Yes. So, and
You've had rotator cuff surgery.
I've had rotator cuff surgery. I had 2 new cow tendons implanted, 3 synthetic patches in my arm because evidently I just didn't have a tendon left.
Oh.
And I had a slight tear that was repaired in my rotator cuff, and then there's some cartilage that goes around, and that had all this jagged fraying, so they sanded all of that down, and they even shaved my bone.
Wow. So you had like a whole do-over on your shoulder.
Yeah, I did. They didn't replace my shoulder, but they've replaced everything but the shoulder, it seems. Yes. So I'm in this immobilizer, and I try to, feel blessed that I've got so many great people, including my sister, that help take care of me and everything. But then there are times where I think I don't like this. I'm over this. It's pissing me off. I'm frustrated. I had a little bit of a meltdown last night when it was time for bed because I'm so tired of sleeping in a recliner. I've been sleeping in a recliner for well over a week now, and it does not make me happy.
Yeah.
And it's uncomfortable, and I'm just a mess.
Yeah.
I'm a mess. So anyway, welcome to Sugar-Coated Murder.
Yes.
Where we complain about our bodily parts and then we bake and
well,
talk
2020 has not been kind.
No, it really hasn't.
Your second surgery, so it takes a toll on you.
Yeah, it does, and I don't like the recovery. It makes me uncomfortable. I don't like to have to rely on other people. Right, yeah. I just hate it.
The feeling of taking away your independence.
Yeah, and this one has really rendered me feeling quite helpless.
Yeah.
So,
yes, let's talk about your...
Do we have to? I mean, we can.
I think that it's exciting.
Is it exciting?
Well, I thought it was, but...
I thought it was pretty resourceful on my part.
I think so, too.
To come up with this. So, wait, can you just stop that for a minute? Click the back of the bowl into place, because it's shaking. There's just the back of the bowl, you have to press down, and it'll click. For real.
There. I got it.
Yeah, now it won't shake. Okay. Sorry. Technical issues
That's
because
all right.
she's not used to my
I'm using her mixer.
KitchenAid, and it's very old and
I'm not used to it.
well loved and weathered, but I will tell you it is a young model or an old model, whatever. It's tried and true.
Right. So what we were talking about earlier is she was smart enough to get herself a bidet.
I got a bidet attachment because I can't afford a new bidet. I don't make any money off this podcast. So I got a bidet attachment, which I thought this is so genius because it's my right shoulder that was operated on, which rendered my right hand completely useless right now. And then I was like, well, there's some things that happen behind closed doors in the bathroom that I rely on my right hand for.
Yes.
And even though I tried to practice doing those things with my left hand, it really was not going well. I think my left hand is about 2 inches shorter than my right hand somehow. And I'm very uncoordinated. And so I really was just all to pieces about, like, I was getting ready to cancel the surgery because I was just like, listen, there's just a certain line that I am willing to draw in life, and this is one of them.
Right.
So I looked up some different stuff, and I found this bidet attachment, which has been fun for all because I thought, well, we'll just attach it to the left-hand side of the toilet. That makes sense, right?
Yes.
Well, evidently, it only attaches to the right-hand side.
Right.
Rendering me, yet again, freaking helpless.
Right.
So now, the fun for everybody is who gets to work the bidet controls when Karen goes potty.
I don't mind working the bidet controls, but admittedly, I am not good at it.
Admittedly, I would say you need a little more practice, but I don't want to be the one that you practice on because things have gone awry several times.
And though she does have a bidet, I've tried the bidet once, and it sprayed all over the side of the wall, so I didn't do it again. I've not used it since.
I thought one day, under the stupor of my pain medicine, that it would just be so much more useful if I could turn around and use it myself. So I decided to sit on the toilet facing backwards and to use the controls, which I had never used before and didn't realize it's not just a click, it's a very gradual turn. So I turned it on fire hose blast. Yeah. And because of the way I was sitting, it hit me right in my stomach, and then it just went everywhere. It went everywhere except for where it was supposed to go.
I won't say the best part of it has been listening to people who come over to visit and decide to try the bidet.
Yes.
In the bathroom, because you hear, all of a sudden you hear this, oh!
Yeah, because I was too cheap to pay the extra $20 to get the warm water setting, so it's just straight cold water.
It's cold water.
It's a little bit of a shock. You have to adjust it, the
depending
spray,
on the area that you want to clean.
Yeah, and the position, and then you turn it on, and people don't know to turn it on gradual. They're just looking for a click, and that click means fire hose pressure. And there have been a lot of wah!
Yeah.
So mostly from women, the men seem to love it. So I don't know what's going on with that, but whatever. So enough of my bidet.
All right.
And my, I mean, I'm trying to be a tidy tinkler, but I got to tell you, I rely on the help of others at this point. So.
And you know what? That's what family's for.
It is what family is for. I agree, but not something I'm interested in sharing.
I think there was a reason that I went to nursing school but didn't finish.
Maybe.
Because I have just enough training to be able to help you.
Yes.
But not so much that I'm like...
trying to work on me.
Trying to work on you, right.
Yes, and my marriage has taken a complete turn because these are bodily functions that we've never shared with each other in our marriage. And now I've not only had to pee and poop in front of my husband, but he has had to work the bidet controls in the middle of the night.
Well, it's good for him.
So I have no dignity left at all, people. None. I have zero dignity. In case you're wondering, somebody out there, please pray for my dignity. So
and let's just remind everybody that you are right-handed.
Yes, I'm right-handed.
So right-handed, not only have you had problems with the whole getting dressed,
I can't get dressed. I can't pull my pants down.
But just researching and writing up your murder.
That was a challenge. And so I was able to research voice to text. And so I did this using Google Sheets, which has a voice to text or it's called voice typing feature on it. It comes with all the Google apps, which has been really awesome. but I will tell you that it doesn't understand what I say. So I've had to go in and highlight some words and peck with my left hand on the keyboard, just like when I'm working. I'm working at about 20% speed right now when I'm trying to do my work, my real work. And then this has really slowed me down. And so there were times where I would say a certain phrase and it kept typing bachelor swamp. So if I get confused when I'm going through, because this is, of course, written in note form, because I wasn't going to write it in full sentences, I might get to a point where I'm like, I wonder what the hell that means, because it's just putting in random words for me.
Yes.
So the poor people in this, their names range from all sorts, like all across the alphabet.
Right.
So we'll see what happens, but I'm going to try my best. And so I'm actually reading it from my phone because I didn't have time to print it out. So
if you've
forgive
had
me.
shoulder surgery, or if you've got shoulder or arm surgery coming up that will render you without the use of one of your arms, please send us an email and ask us questions, because Karen's got all the answers.
I don't have all the answers, but I got some of the answers, and I will prepare you for what's to come, because I don't feel like I was well prepared.
And if you've had this surgery before,
please let me know how you kept your dignity.
Please do send an email and let her know some tips and tricks.
Yeah, because this ain't funny. This ain't funny at all.
Because she's not having a good time.
I'm not having fun, guys. But I am so thankful for COVID right now. Because of COVID, I work from home. If I wasn't able to work from home, I would have to take all of this time off from work.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't have enough leave to cover it all, and I would have to go on short-term disability, which means I would only be getting a portion of my pay, which would set us back in our bills. And it would just be a waterfall of bad dominoes falling. Yeah, so very thankful for the situation that we're in right now. And the only thing I can say to end this whole shoulder situation is don't let things just sit, and things are not going to work themselves out in your body. I was in pain since January and ignored it, and then ignored it long enough that my colon situation happened, and then I really put this on the back burner. And then after the colon healed, this became worse, and I at one point was just not able to use my arm at all. And that's when I finally went to the doctor, was when I couldn't even sleep at night. And then, maybe if I had caught it a little bit earlier, we could have done some surgery that wasn't so drastic, or maybe done some physical therapy that could have helped with some of this situation. That's all I'm going to say. That's all I'm going to say.
Hindsight is 20/20.
I know.
We all do the best we can.
I know. I agree. And I think as women, especially as married women with children, or unmarried women with children, women with spouses, women with anybody in their lives, somehow we put ourselves last on the list of maintaining. Right. And we need to get better about maintaining ourselves.
Absolutely.
So we should maintain our health, and we should maintain our cars.
Preach, yes. Sister, preach.
All right, so blah, 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 la, 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 yada, yada, yada. What are you cooking?
Oh, my gosh.
I'm so excited.
Because my sister wasn't feeling well.
I
decided to make tea cakes.
Oh my God, this is my favorite.
I know. Our grandmother on our dad's side,
Memama,
who we called Memama, used to come to visit us in Franklin. She lived in South Hill, Virginia. She would come to Franklin, and she'd have a Tupperware container full of these Russian tea cakes, which were similar to a sugar cookie, but it had a lot of nutmeg in it. Yeah. So when you eat it, it just makes you feel warm.
It is so nice.
It's just good for the soul.
And my sister has perfected her recipe. She makes them just like Memama did.
Well, we never got the recipe from Memama, but I tried several recipes and combined a couple of recipes into a cookie that I feel like is as close as we're going to get.
I agree. It's not Memama delivering them in a tin, but it is damn close.
How's bells? She may have even just had a mix. We have no idea.
She could have had somebody make them for her. We don't know. There were secrets that she kept.
There were secrets, yes, especially about
secrets from Memama's kitchen.
Her barbecue sauce in the ketchup bottle, and her
homemade sausage and biscuit gravy.
Didn't she use like a canned biscuit?
Mm-hmm. She said they were homemade.
Yes. So,
they're the green biscuits.
Yeah, there was that.
Mm-hmm.
But whatever.
That's okay.
We loved her, and we appreciated every time she came and she brought these
tea cakes. We were always so excited.
I remember we would keep them in the freezer in that Tupperware container.
Yes.
And they were so gosh darn good.
Oh my gosh. Yes, that's lovely. So I'm so excited. I feel like this is going to heal me, at least my soul. I don't know about my arm, but it's going to at least heal my soul.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right, so, and how funny that we used to call her Memama. It's like now, so we call, for those of you who haven't been listening, but
catch up.
Our kids call our mother Honey.
Yes.
And they call, what do they call Darren's, your husband's?
Graham and Pop.
Graham and Pop. And then we had grandparents, Grandma Seal. Her first name was Lucille. And then we had
Grandpop Coogee.
Grandpop Coogee.
Whose first name was Coogee.
Yeah. Well, no. His nickname was Coogee.
Well, okay. That's fine.
I just think it's funny, all the names that people come up with. That
I know.
To be called as grandparents.
From what I understand, the first cousin, the first grandchild of Memama's, well, I think it normally happens. The first grandchild is usually the one that assigns the name to the grandparent, unless there's a tradition.
Right.
Or there could be a break with tradition. So, in the case of Mama, she wanted to be called Nana.
And she has grandchildren that call her Nana.
She has some children that call her Nana. But my daughter, Sarah, was the first grandchild, but did not address my mother by name until she was 4. She would not call her anything but, hey, you. So in the process of, in that 4 years, other grandchildren were born, and those grandchildren were calling her Nana.
Right.
Like everybody else expected Sarah to do, but in breaking with tradition and the rebellious nature of my children, Sarah called her Honey, because that's what our stepfather called our mom when he addressed her. A lot of times it was, hey, honey, can you do this? Or, honey, do you mind doing this? And so one day at Thanksgiving, we're at their dinner table, and she gets up, and Grandy says, hey, honey, do you mind getting me a drink? And Sarah said, yeah, me too, honey. And we all looked at Sarah and said, who are you talking to? And she pointed to Mama. So that's how Mama became Honey.
Yeah.
So it's my understanding that our cousin Michael is the one that came up with Memama, and he couldn't pronounce whatever it was she wanted to be called. He couldn't call her that, so it became Memama.
Yeah.
And that's how it. So I don't even know what she wanted to be called, honestly.
I don't either. I have to look into that.
Yeah. So Memama.
So let me just tell you about the recipe real quick. It is just the easiest recipe in the world. Flour, butter, sugar, eggs, vanilla, and then you add, this recipe calls for 1/4 teaspoon of nutmeg. I've always used a full teaspoon of nutmeg in mine.
Girl, yes.
And then I actually dust the tops of them with sugar and nutmeg combined to bake. And just because we really love nutmeg.
We love nutmeg.
But adjust the nutmeg as needed.
Yes, definitely. If you're not a lover of the nutmeg, then feel free to back it off, but use at least 1/4.
Yeah.
So
all right, there we go. That's what I'm doing. They're very easy to make. I use a biscuit cutter. She used to use, they're about the size of the rim of a glass.
Yes.
So it's not a small cookie. It's a nice big cookie.
It is nice. And she used to use the jelly jars.
Yeah.
The jelly jar glasses that we used to get at the fast food restaurants.
Exactly.
And she used those for her biscuit cutters.
I love her.
I know. Okay, well, I'm going to talk murder.
Let's hear it.
I'm going to talk some murder. First of all, welcome back to the kitchen, because our October series is gone. Last week we were back in the kitchen. We're back in the kitchen again. And I got to tell you, I did miss the kitchen a little bit. It was a good break in October, but happy to be back in the kitchen. I like our setting. I like our aesthetics here. This is the nucleus of where we socialize anyway.
Yes.
All right, so I'm going to talk murder now. And this murder takes place, hold on, oh my God. I don't have good control, guys. I'm so sorry. This story takes place in May of 1985 in Fayetteville, North Carolina. Katie Eastburn was married to Air Force Captain Gary Eastburn. They were stationed at that's not it. It's Pope Air Force Base in North Carolina. And Gary is on temporary duty in Montgomery, Alabama at officer school. And he had about a week left before graduation. After graduation, they were going to be shipped over to the UK because Gary was going to become the U.S. liaison to the British Naval or Air Force forces, something. He was going to be a liaison between Great Britain forces.
Wow.
And yeah, so big honor and a really good position. So, sorry. At that point, of course, there are no cell phones. So he usually would talk about once a week via the payphone outside of his dorm room to Katie and check up on Katie. He got concerned when he hadn't heard from them in over a week. They usually spoke on Thursday nights. But Gary also knew that Katie had her hands full. They had 3 active daughters. Kara was 5. Erin was 3, and Jana was 21 months.
Wow.
She had a lot going on.
She did have a lot going on.
Yes.
Holy cow.
And while Gary was away at officer school, she was busy trying to get their lives organized for the move.
Right.
Because they're moving, shipping overseas.
Yeah, overseas with those 3 babies. Holy cow.
So you got a lot to do. So one of the hard tasks, oh my God, I'm not on any pain medicine today, but I think that's what's missing. One of the hard tasks that she had to do was to find placement for their dog.
Aww.
They didn't think that the dog would do well with the overseas flight, which I can imagine.
Yeah. Nor
Nor would it do well in quarantine when they got there. So they felt it was more humane, although very difficult, to find a home for the dog.
Right.
So she put an ad in the local military paper, and was asking a small fee just to make sure she had serious replies. I think it was like $10 or something. Right. So when they missed their weekly phone call together, at first, Gary wasn't too concerned, but over the course of the next few days, he did continue to call to try to contact Katie.
Right.
And then it became Mother's Day, and he still had not heard from her.
God, he
and
must have been going crazy because he's far away.
He's in Alabama, so, and he can't just leave. So he can't go, I can't find my wife, I'm going to go.
Right.
So anyway, he really is desperate to establish some sort of contact with her. And so finally on Mother's Day evening, he calls the Fayetteville police, and he asks an officer to go over to the house. And the officer went, didn't see anything alarming at the house, saw the car sitting in the driveway. He knocked on the door. There was no answer. So he just left a note on the door and said, please call your husband.
Oh, okay.
Yes. So at the same time, Gary finally got in touch with some of their neighbors, a couple that lived near them. And he asked the neighbors to go by and check on Katie and the girls. And so the neighbors said, well, we had been concerned because we noticed the newspapers have been piling up at the house. This is back when people got the newspaper every day at their house.
Yeah.
And the newspapers have been piling up for the past, few days. And normally the house is bustling with activity. The girls are running around. Katie's out in the yard with them. And we haven't seen anybody out, but we just felt like since the car was still in the driveway, maybe Katie wasn't feeling well, or maybe one of the girls was sick.
Right.
So he went over and saw the note from the police officer, and he knocked on the door. There was no answer, but they could hear a baby crying.
Oh, God.
So they called the police back and said, you need to get back out here. So when they walked into the house, the police found Katie, Kara, and Erin had all been murdered.
Oh, gosh.
Baby Jana, 21 months old, was found unharmed in her crib.
Wow.
But near death due to starvation and dehydration.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah, Jana was rushed to the hospital, and the doctor said she was hours from death.
Oh, bless her heart.
I know. So police contact Gary and ask him to return home immediately because they wanted to give him the news in person.
Wow.
The crime scene the police had walked in on was gruesome. Katie had had her underwear cut off of her. Her blouse and bra had been torn open. Her throat was slit, and she had been stabbed multiple times.
Wow.
She had also been raped.
Oh.
Little Aaron, 5 years old, was found in Katie's bedroom, and she had also had her throat slashed.
Wow.
Kara, who was 3, was found in her own bed underneath the blanket as if she was hiding.
Oh.
She had been stabbed multiple times through the blanket.
Oh my God.
And her throat had also been split. Split?
Oh.
No, it had been slit. I'm so sorry. So we have a really heinous crime that has happened.
Yes, we do.
In this neighborhood of military people.
Yeah.
So investigators start looking for any witnesses in the neighborhood, and they had a witness that came forward that said she had seen a man leaving the Eastburn residence at 3 o'clock in the morning, and she thought it was strange. She was able to give a description of the driver and of the car, and the car was a white Chevrolet Chevette.
Oh, wow.
I think we had a Chevette at one time. No, we didn't. We had a Citizen.
A Citation. We had a Chevy Citation.
Chevy Citation.
It was a lemon.
It was a lemon, or it could have been teenage drivers. I'm not sure which.
No, it was bad when we got it.
Okay. So, at the same time, police were so desperate to find some kind of a lead that they turned to the only living witness, 21-month-old Jana.
Ugh.
They took Jana to a child psychologist to see if the psychologist could figure out if she knew anything or had seen anything.
Right.
And after several sessions with Jana, the psychologist said that she had heard the killer, but she never saw the killer. And she was also too young to understand what had happened.
Oh, that's her little heart.
Police figured the reason that Jana was left unharmed was because she was too young to identify the intruder.
Right.
And the other two were old enough to make some type of identification.
Gosh.
So when police talked to Gary, he did mention that they had put the ad in the newspaper about the dog, and Katie had said that a man had come over to take the dog. And so police start trying to find the man that answered the ad about the dog.
Right.
By the way, the dog was not at the home when the police arrived.
Oh, well, that makes sense.
Okay. So police were able to track down a man named Timothy Heinous who had answered the ad in the paper. When they talked to him, he said, yep, he had gone over to the Eastburns' residence and that Katie and the girls had met him at the door, and that he had met the dog and liked the dog and actually paid for the dog and took the dog home.
Right.
So the dog was at his house. So police asked Heinous for hair, blood, and fingernail samples, which he provided. And as the detectives were walking him out to his car, they noticed that Timothy Heinous drove a white Chevrolet Chevelle.
Dagnabbit.
They arrested him.
Right. Well, yeah.
At the time, Timothy Heinous was an Army sergeant stationed at Fort Bragg in Fayetteville, North Carolina. So he was at a nearby military base.
Oh.
So, once they arrest Heinous, police noticed that he looked a lot like the description that was given to police by the neighbor that said that she had seen somebody leaving the home at 3 a.m. They also discovered that someone had stolen and used an ATM card of Katie's.
Oh, great.
And a witness was able to identify Heinous as the person that had used the ATM card at the machine. Everywhere investigators turned, it seemed like the evidence just turned back to Timothy Heinous.
Yeah.
Who, of course, is proclaiming his innocence. Like, I went over there to get the dog. That's all I did. So,
sorry. Keep going.
Okay. So, and Timothy had no record of any violent crimes. So investigators were kind of puzzled about this. But the theory that they developed was they learned that Timothy had approached a woman for sex on the same night.
Huh.
And he was rejected. And so they felt that when he was rejected by that woman, he decided he was going to go take out his frustrations and get what he wanted from what he considered an easy target.
Great.
Yeah.
But, I mean, why the little girls?
Because they could identify him.
Ugh.
I mean, that's the sad truth. Sad, sad truth. So, In 1986, about a year after the murders had taken place, Timothy Heinous is brought to trial.
Okay.
Now remember, 1986, we didn't have DNA testing.
We did not.
So even though investigators had Heinous' DNA through the blood sample and the hair sample, they were not able to test it. They even had semen swabs from Katie's body. By the way, semen swabs is what came out as bachelor swamp. When I kept talking about it, somehow Google thinks that is
bachelor swamp.
Yes, yeah, semen swab and vaginal swab. They both came out as bachelor swamp.
Wow.
So, again, these pieces of evidence couldn't be tested and they couldn't be used against Heinous.
Right.
In the trial. So the defense attorney was very quick to point out that the prosecution had no physical evidence linking their client to the murders. All they had was a couple of witnesses that are not reliable and the fact that he had bought a dog from Katie in the recent days. That's it. So after a lengthy trial on July 4th, 1986, the jury returned a verdict of guilty on all 4 counts, which included 3 murders and rape.
Wow.
4 days later, he was sentenced to death. But there's more.
Of course there is.
So, by the way, his wife and his attorneys continued to stand by him and proclaim his innocence. And at one point, while on death row, Timothy even received a letter from someone claiming to have committed the crime. The person that wrote the letter seemed remorseful that Heinous was sitting on death row for a crime that this person had committed. So, of course...
But not remorseful enough to turn themselves in.
Exactly. So, of course, Heinous' attorneys continued to fight, and they went through a bunch of appeals processes. So, at one of the appeals, the defense attorney even appealed on the fact that he felt he, as the attorney, had not been able to provide adequate representation to the trial case because it was such a horrible and disturbing case that he could not give his client what he needed.
Wow.
So, eventually, their appeals go up to the Supreme Court, which is exactly what happens. You know, you lose an appeal, you lose an appeal. It goes through all these different courts and it ends up in the Supreme Court.
Yep.
So the Supreme Court of North Carolina overturned the verdict.
Oh, shoot.
They granted Heinous a new trial, saying that prosecutors had used inflammatory information to sway the jury unfairly, including the display of incredibly graphic and disturbing images from the crime scene.
What?
I mean, I'm sorry if they're disturbing, but I mean, this is what the crime was. This is the crime that we're trying. People need to know how heinous this crime is.
That was raped and murdered, and her daughters were murdered.
Yes, and one of the daughters was murdered in the same bedroom as where the woman was found.
Oh,
so she probably walked in on the attack because she heard her mom screaming and walked in and then was killed.
Yeah.
And the other 3-year-old was hiding terrified under her blanket, and the man still felt like he could go and murder that kid.
Yeah.
So, give me a freaking break, heinous. Heinous and disturbing my ass. Okay. Whew. Okay. So, after 2 years on death row, Heinous goes to trial again. And the new trial began in 1989. The prosecution stood by their evidence and their star witness who said that they had seen him leaving the house in the white Chevrolet Chevelle. So my thing is, okay, let's just say she wasn't spot on with his description. Well, she was damn spot on with the car.
Yeah.
Like, hello. So, anyway, they stood by all of their evidence that they had presented in the first trial. They were very confident that this was going to end up exactly like they thought. The defense was very hard at work. They were able to produce another witness who claims to have seen a different person leaving the Eastburn residence about that time as well. So it must have been a party. And he didn't look anything like Timothy Heinous.
Oh.
How convenient that they were able to find that person the second go-round, but not the first.
Right.
So, And the defense once again brought up the fact that there was no physical evidence connecting Heinous to the murders. So they stated anyone could have committed this crime, and including the person that had written the letter to Heinous while he was in prison. This time, Heinous actually took the witness stand and in person denied having anything to do with the murders or the rape. The only thing that he said was, I went to their house and bought the dog. That's it.
Right.
I had no other contact with these people. So on April 19th, 1989, a jury comes back with a verdict. And they find him not guilty.
Wow.
Yes. Not guilty of the triple murder charges and rape. And, of course, Gary Eastburn is crushed by this news and by this verdict. And he was always convinced that Heinous had to be the intruder that killed his wife and 2 daughters.
Right.
And he said it never... Sorry, I'm losing my voice because I have dictated this and now I'm reading this.
Yeah.
Thank you for the water break. So anyway, Gary Eastburn never felt like it didn't sit. Bleh, okay. Bleh, bleh. Gary said it never sat right with him that Heinous never apologized to the family for their loss or didn't even say that he was sorry for the loss, like not saying I did it, but oh my gosh, I'm so sorry this happened to you. This happened to your children and your wife. Like he never had any emotion about any of the killings.
So weird.
So he said that always kind of stuck in his craw a little bit, that the guy just never seemed to have any emotional connection to what was going on. So Gary was released from prison. Not wow. Gary. Gary was in prison. No, Gary was not in prison. He was in emotional prison. Yeah. Heinous was in physical prison, and he got out.
Yikes.
So at one point, the TV show, A Current Affair, actually paid Heinous and his wife to come on their show.
Oh, wow.
And Heinous on the show said that the only reason the prosecution went after him was that they wanted the murder. They wanted to pin the murder on somebody and get it out of the news because it was so heinous and disturbing. And people were scared. So he said that's the only reason that they honed in on him. And it was just his bad luck that he had gone and bought the dog.
Right.
So it seemed that whoever had committed this heinous murder in Fayetteville, North Carolina, had gotten away with it. The case went cold because there were never any other leads developed other than Timothy Heinous.
Right.
By the police. So Gary Eastburn goes on with his life. He raises his sweet daughter Jana on his own. They did end up transferring to the base outside of London as scheduled. And eventually he met an English nurse, and they were married in 1991, and she became the only mother that Jana knew.
Aww.
And they were a happy family. Jana was riddled with horrible survivor guilt.
Right.
All of her life. She was haunted by the loss of her sisters and her mother right under her nose. And yet she had no way of helping to solve the crime because she was so young. And, there were times where she would say, I just wish she had killed me too. Because she just, especially in those first 8 years with her dad, and she's really feeling the hole in her family.
I'm sure, yeah.
So, Timothy Heinous returned to his family and resumed his career in the Army as planned. He had a very successful career. He served in the first Desert Storm War. He served in the war in Somalia, and he gained multiple promotions and had high marks from military leadership all of his career. He had a stellar career. There was a book eventually written by a journalist named, oh my gosh, I can't remember the guy's name, and it says Scott, his name was Scott Wisnant, but it says Scott was near.
Oh no.
Sorry. But the book is called Innocent Victims. So it was actually eventually turned into a TV movie, which I didn't know. And the movie and the book portrayed Timothy Heinous as the guy that was in the wrong place at the wrong time, proclaimed his innocence, and they also pointed fingers at investigators for never developing any other leads besides Timothy Heinous.
Wow.
It pissed off the investigators, and they said they were not involved in the making of the writing of the book or the movie, the making of the movie. And they said that the author had taken the wrong angle at pointing the finger at them, and they stood by the fact that they felt Timothy Heinous was the only suspect because he was the murderer, and that he had gotten off scot-free. So, like I said, this has become a cold case in North Carolina. 20 years later, what do we have?
DNA
Thank
testing.
the good Lord for it. 20 years later, you got a new batch of detectives. You got cold case detectives. You got people that specialize in cold cases, which I love.
Yeah.
And somebody decides they want to go through the Eastburn murders.
Yeah.
So they start going through, and lo and behold, this investigator finds the DNA swab from Catherine Eastburn's vaginal swab.
Right.
That contained semen, which we know was not her husband's because he was in Alabama.
Right.
So they send it off, and they also send off the samples of hair and blood from Timothy Heinous to see if they match.
Right.
So now this is going to finally say, is Timothy Heinous guilty or innocent?
Yeah.
And if he's innocent, then who committed the murders?
Right.
So when the DNA testing all comes back, the report showed, drum roll please. Are you sitting down?
I have to stand because I'm cooking, but...
Well, you should be sitting down. As a matter of fact, police even called Gary Eastburn in London and said, Gary, actually he was not in London. At this point, he was stateside. But they said, Gary, are you sitting down? And he said, no, should I be? And they said, yes. So everybody at this point should be sitting down. Okay. The lab testing revealed that the vaginal swab, not the bachelor swab from Katie was a match to that of Timothy Heinous.
Wow.
He freaking did it.
Asshole.
Freaking. Mama, I'm going to cuss that motherfucker.
Oh my gosh.
Okay, I'm done cussing. Well, I might not be done cussing. So anyway, now we have a problem because in our country we have something called...
Statute of limitations.
That is not what it's called. It's called double jeopardy.
Oh, crap.
Yeah. So the state of North Carolina has tried him, convicted him, put him on death row, recognized his appeal was viable. Is that the word? Viable.
Sure.
It was a good appeal. So they granted him a new trial. They tried him again. They found him innocent. At this point, they can't try him again. So I looked up the double jeopardy meaning.
They can't try him again for murder.
They can't try him for rape either.
They had tried him before for rape.
Yes. There were 4 counts that he was tried on. 3 murders and 1 rape.
Dang it.
Yep.
Well, can they change murder to a different degree?
No.
Dang it.
No. So I looked up what double jeopardy is, and I found the actual clause. So, because I feel like we all just say, well, you can't be tried twice for any crime.
Right.
So what I found out was it's part of the 5th Amendment, which I like. I didn't know that. It prohibits anyone from being prosecuted twice for substantially the same crime. And the relevant part of the 5th Amendment says that, I like the way this is written, that's why I'm reading it. No person shall be subject for the same twice put in jeopardy of life and limb.
Okay.
It was like, okay, I don't know what that means, but that means that the state of North Carolina cannot try him again.
No, they cannot.
But just because the state of North Carolina couldn't try him again doesn't mean that there isn't a loophole. Because Timothy Heinous was a retired military soldier, the Army could try him.
Yes.
So they ordered him out of retirement, which they can do.
Yes, they can.
They put him back in uniform. And then they said, you are going to be tried in the military justice system for these murders and rape. Got you, little bastard.
That's right.
We got you.
Gotcha.
So Heinous goes to trial under the military system. The Eastburns, of course, attend. And they are in awe when they find out that Heinous had retired in a community near Seattle in Washington State. Shockingly, Gary and his wife and Jana and her boyfriend had all settled in the same area within 30 minutes of each other.
Wow.
How creepy is that?
That's insane.
It really chilled Jana to know that this man was living so close and that he was walking around in the community free.
Yeah.
What if he had recognized her?
Exactly.
Like, how freaking scary. Or what if it triggered some deep buried memory in her and she recognized him?
Yeah.
Like, holy freaking moly.
That's insane.
That gives me chills.
Yeah.
And it gave her chills too. So the trial begins, and Heinous was ordered back to Fort Bragg to face the triple murder charges and the rape charges after 2 decades of freedom.
It is always going to get you.
It's going to freaking catch up to you.
So just don't do it.
So the Eastburns have to go and sit through yet another trial.
Wow.
So the defense relied heavily on the pristine military career of Timothy Heinous and how it was completely different from the person the prosecution painted as the cold-blooded rapist and murderer, not just of a woman, but of 2 of her small children.
Right.
How could they be the same person? And that's what they said. How could this be? Look at this man.
Right.
I mean, he goes to church on Sundays.
Okay.
Okay. That means nothing.
Nothing.
So we see this a lot in defense attorneys that make this argument now. They argued that the DNA was questionable because it had been stored for so long before testing.
Mm.
Yeah. So they bring that up a lot in a lot of these trials, these cold case trials now. They're saying that the DNA is not reliable, but
I think that's
I don't give a shit.
They've gone back and proven that that's baloney.
I think so. So Heinous gets on the stand again and says, yes, I went over to Katie's house to buy the dog. And then what happened was later that night, I snuck back over to Katie's house to have consensual sex with her.
Oh, yeah, because she's...
So 20 years later, we're remembering this.
Right.
And she's like so attracted to this man buying a dog. She's got 3 children running around her skirt and trying to get ready to move to London. And what she wants is a booty call from this dude.
Right.
So what an asshole. And what an asshole for bringing her character into question.
Yeah.
So, and what, the kids were making too much noise, so you had to kill them? Like,
right.
You know, if it was consensual sex. So he's saying, we had consensual sex, I left, and then this other guy came in and murdered them.
Jeez.
Yeah, so what an asshole. So, he suggested that Katie was very lonely while her husband was away.
Oh, for heaven's
for
sake.
his training. He's such an asshat. Okay, so the military court doesn't believe a damn thing Timothy Heinous has to say, and they find him guilty.
Good.
And they find him guilty of the rape and murder of Katie and the murders of Aaron and Kara. He's led away in handcuffs and sentenced to death.
Wow.
Yep. Afterwards, Gary and Jana Eastburn spoke to the press and after the verdict and the sentencing, and they express sympathy for Heinous' family because they know how difficult it is to lose a family member, no matter what the occasion. Now, those are stand-up people.
Yes, they are.
Stand-up people right there. Unlike Heinous, who went through now 3 trials and not only has said, hey, I empathize with you, I can't imagine this horrible loss, but now I've said your wife's a hoe.
Yeah.
So, ass white.
Good God.
So anyway, the court... So they put him on death row, and where death row is for the military is in Fort Leavenworth, Kansas. He has unsuccessfully appealed his case several times. I was able to find a news report from March 6th of this year, and it's actually from a website called deathpenaltyinfo.org. If you ever want to look up some information on the latest news, what's happening on death row across the country. That's where you can go.
I love a new website.
I know. So he had appealed, and they had upheld that he had appealed based on the fact that he said that the military didn't have jurisdiction over him after being retired, which is not true. They have jurisdiction over you for the rest of your life. So they rejected it on February 28th of this year.
Yeah, because when you retired from the military, did you still get benefits?
Thank you.
Yeah, so they've got you.
They got you, baby. So the court ruled against heinous and said that they do have jurisdiction over your stupid ass. So that was the last news report that I could find on Timothy. It was the official court document said, we got you, we got your white ass, and we are going to try you, and we have jurisdiction over your dumb ass.
There you go.
So, about executions, I was wondering, like, have people been executed by the military?
Oh, yeah,
well,
I'm sure they have.
The last time capital punishment was executed through their military system was in 1961. So they have not put anybody to death since 1961.
Wow, so I guess he'll just sit on death row. Oh,
there are currently 4 death row inmates awaiting execution under military justice, including Timothy Heinous.
Well, there you go.
So there's been a new policy under our current administration that clears the legal path to resume death row executions. And all it was it just switched from using the certain type of drugs that were controversial over to a different type of drug.
Right.
So as of this year, they've given the green light to start putting these guys to death. Now, whether that will actually happen or not, I don't know. But I just want to let you know that he's sitting there with 4 other really bad men.
Good.
And I
hope he's having a great time.
He's just rotting away in Leavenworth, Kansas.
Yes.
But his wife still stands behind him in his innocence.
Oh my gosh, of course.
You know, some people say...
How can you stand behind him?
Some people say that he was, that she was the one that rejected him for sex. Other people say he was out trying to just find sex outside of his marriage, and that, you know, he got pissed off or whatever. I don't know. There are a lot of different theories, but either way, he's found guilty and he's rotten. So what are you looking for?
I don't know. I'm just looking.
All right, we'll just keep looking.
Yeah.
That's my murder. That's
crazy.
The story of my murder. Not my murder, but a murder that I found interesting.
Yeah.
Because the whole double jeopardy thing and the military justice and wasn't expecting any of that.
Wow.
Yeah.
All right. Well.
So where are we?
I've got my second batch of cookies in the oven.
Okay.
And I've got about 9 minutes left on that. I think we need to take a pause and we'll swap around and I'll tell you a tale.
Yes, but before we pause, I want to tell you something.
Okay.
We have social media.
Oh my God. Are you kidding?
I'm not kidding. We have it. We have social media. All of it. We've got all the social media. We're all social media tycoons.
Whoa.
We're tycoons.
We do.
So let's just go over it so in case people are tuning out because my voice is hoarse or whatever, hopefully they're still listening.
Oh my God, are you implying that they're going to tune out from my murder?
No, I just think that sometimes they pause. When we get to a pause, they say, oh, I'll listen to the rest of this tomorrow.
Right.
So they may not find out until later. And I want them to know right now that we have social media.
Yeah.
So we have Instagram.
Yes. And the handle for Instagram is at Sugar-Coated Murder.
Yeah, look out. That's so convenient.
Yeah.
We tried to make it simple.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
and
then we have...
follow us on Instagram.
Tell the people about our Facebook.
Oh my gosh, we have a Facebook fan page.
I love it.
We have 159 friends.
Y'all are missing out if you are not one of our close friends.
It's true.
One of the 159 close friends.
That's very true. And it's it's so easy. Just go to Sugar-Coated Murder Podcast fan page.
When you're in Facebook, go up to the search bar and type those words in.
And then request to be a friend, and we'll say, heck yes.
Because we don't turn away anybody because we need more friends.
We always need more friends.
Yes, you cannot have enough close friends like these people. These people are close.
Close. Oh my God.
Very close friends.
So close.
So close they use our email. Tell them about our email address.
Oh my goodness. We even have email. It's insane.
It's insane.
And let's see. What is our email address?
It starts with murder.
Yes. And then it goes murder.sugarcoated@gmail.com.
.com.
Yes, murder.sugarcoated@gmail.com.
.com.
So easy. Send us an email. We had an email from a fan last week that said, I don't really have anything to say. I just want you to know I love you.
And we thought that was so sweet. And we said, we're sending you all the hugs.
That
fan got all the hugs.
All of them.
Yeah.
Every single one of them.
So if y'all were lacking in hugs last week, it's because this super fan got all the hugs.
All the hugs.
Yes, that's right. So if you want all the hugs, give us a shout.
Exactly.
Give us a toodly-doo.
Yeah. All right, that's it.
I think
wait. We have...
we do have a...
We have a...
what is it called? A website.
A website. No, that was
We
what I was
don't?
going to tell.
Merchandise.
We do.
That wasn't it?
No, we have a tree link. We have
Oh, Jesus, here we go again. I'm going to smack her.
What's it called?
Link tree.
Right. I was so close.
No, because a tree link is something you go to a tree and you find a link. Or you go to a link and find a tree.
We have a link tree. It's so super cool because it is like a tree with links. You click on the link.
It's a list of all the links where you can find us.
Yes.
So it makes it easy to...
It shows where you can get our merchandise. It takes you to our podcast. It takes you to our webpage.
It takes you to Apple, Spotify, iHeartRadio, the big platforms.
Yeah.
And it also gives you the opportunity.
Yes, if you would like to send a donation in to support our podcast or buy us a cup of coffee, you can do it
or
right
a
there.
spot of tea.
A spot of tea.
Or if you want to contribute to my wellness fund, that would be a great idea.
Yeah, that's a big one. But if you want to support us support our podcast in any way, we always have a need to buy baking supplies, to upgrade our mic maybe one day, we'll see. And maybe some software for our computer. We are happy. We would love to take your donation.
Yes,
so
because podcasters don't make money until their listeners help them.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, we've been going for less than a year. We're getting close to our 1-year anniversary. So, for podcasters, it takes some time.
Yeah, it does take time.
Especially in a competitive market to really get your name out
Yeah, and
there.
we are in a we're in a competitive market with a really unique niche.
Yes, indeed.
Because we're us. We're
us.
individual.
Yeah, and they're not.
And they don't have y'all. We have y'all.
Exactly.
And we're not sharing.
There you go. All right, we're going to pause.
Now we're going to pause.
And then I'm going to talk murder to you.
Woo-hoo! And we're back.
We're back.
You can't get rid of us that easily.
No way, Jose. All right, so the timer's set on the cookies. When the timer goes off, I'll probably be the one that has to get up and take the cookies.
I would imagine so. Because,
there may be a little pause in the story in about 6 minutes.
That's fine.
Okay. On the morning of December 17th, 1992, Kristin Huggins was up and getting ready for a big day. Kristin was 22 years old. She had recently graduated from art school and had just been commissioned to paint a mural at the Trenton Club. Now, the Trenton Club was I don't know if they really have them anymore, but it was like a members-only club where kind of the upper crest of the area would go. They had dining and dancing, meetings. You could play squash when squash was popular.
Okay.
They had workout equipment. So
I like a good game of squash.
Like the men's would go to the sauna.
The men's would.
The men's.
The men's.
Yeah.
The men's.
And they would hang out and smoke cigars. You know what I'm talking about. You get the idea of what the club, a Trenton Club, might be.
Yeah.
So it was the first commission that Kristin had ever gotten. So she really was making a huge effort to be on time. Our parents lived in Pennsylvania, but it wasn't too far of a trip from where they lived to the Trenton Club in New Jersey. Trenton, New Jersey. So she's up, she's getting ready. There's a hustle and a bustle. Everybody's excited. She says her goodbyes. And she jumps into she's got a bright red Toyota MR2. Do you remember what they look like?
Yeah.
They're real sporty, two-seater. I always thought it was cool because the trunk was in the front.
Oh, yeah.
Now, they don't do that much anymore, but
No.
it's probably safer to have the engine in the front rather than in the back because of the whole rear-ending situation. But she loved that car. It was her pride and joy. She kept it clean. She kept it neat, which is more than I can say for what my car looked like when I was 22. So
Too.
she headed on her way.
And 55.
And no, my car's in good shape right now.
No, not mine.
Right. She made a quick stop to get some cigarettes at a gas station or convenience store and drove toward the club. Everyone was excited to hear how Kristin's day was. After all, the Trenton Club Commission was her first job, but no one heard from her. Never. She never returned. She never came back to her parents' house. And her parents were like, okay, maybe she's celebrating and she's gone out to be with her friends.
Yeah.
And, but so they gave it through the night. The next morning they get up, her car's still not in the driveway. She's still not home. So they called her brother, or their son, but her brother, and said, we haven't heard from Kristin since yesterday when she left to go to work. Have you heard anything? And he said, well, it's kind of weird because I got a call from the manager at the Trenton Club to tell me that Kristin never showed up to do the mural. And her brother is actually the one that helped her get that job. Uh-huh. He had a connection there and was able to help her get that first commission, which is a really big deal for an art student.
Oh my God, yes. Heck yeah. To do something that's going to stay in that local community and be seen by so many people.
Exactly.
It's huge.
Yeah.
Huge.
So he was really shocked, too, that Kristin wasn't home because it was completely out of character for her to not be in touch with someone, at least. So her parents hang up with her brother, and then they call her best friend, hoping that maybe Kristin had gone over there, fallen asleep, whatever, and hadn't called. But she had not. And at this point, her parents are freaking out, and they call the police and report their beautiful daughter is missing.
Oh, that's heartbreaking.
Police meet with Kristin's parents, and based on Kristin's track record, her personality, they were able to quickly rule out the possibility that she ran away. Yeah. She was very happy. Unfortunately, the following day, the day after her parents reported her missing, Kristin, not Karen. It's
I'm
Kristin.
Karen Devaney.
Karen. Kristin's parents hear from police that they have found Kristin's car.
Oh, no.
A patrolman in Trenton had seen Kristin's sporty red car at a local tow lot, but noted that the car had been wrecked. So police go out to investigate, first, is this really her car? Though the MR2s were hard to miss. They were super cute.
Super adorable.
I don't even know if they still make them, but back then,
I don't know
back in the 90s, it was like a big deal. Because we were driving Pintos and, station wagons. So when you saw something really sporty, wow.
And we were in the family Buick.
Exactly. So police go to the lot, and the first thing they notice is the car is covered in mud. It's not just covered in mud on the outside, but it is packed with mud on the inside.
What?
Mud.
That doesn't make any sense.
Right. The license plate had been removed. All 4 tires were flat, and there were no personal items on the inside. She had left with an art kit, her purse.
Oh, yeah.
All the things that you would want to take with you to go paint a mural.
Yep. And that art kit is not little. It's not like something you put in your pocket.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
So,
it's going to be something big.
Her parents had seen all of these, she walked out with all of these things. So it was unusual for those to not actually still be in the car.
Yep.
They decide to go ahead and try to see if they can come up with any kind of fingerprints or DNA evidence, anything they can. Again, it's clear that somebody's maybe trying to cover something up because the car is filled with mud.
That doesn't even make sense.
I know, so weird. Fortunately, they were able to retrieve some fibers and hair from the car, but there was no fingerprints. There was no blood or anything that would indicate that a murder had happened in the car.
Okay.
Or that Kristin had been murdered. We don't even know. At this point, they don't know.
We just don't know.
I mean, we know because it wouldn't be
on this podcast.
Right, it wouldn't be on our podcast, but They don't know yet.
Well, maybe she's going to turn out to be the murderer. We don't know.
We don't know.
I mean, you know, but I don't know.
I know.
I don't know. I'm learning.
You are. The investigators then go and interview Kristin's friends and family to see if there's any kind of person in her life that could potentially be a suspect that might want to do harm to Kristin. In the story, there was a guy. He was creepy. He kept asking her out. She kept turning him down. But he's really the only guy that they came up with that they could think of that could potentially be a creep that maybe would harm. Mm-hmm. It didn't pan out.
Okay.
When I was doing the research, there was like a whole long thing about this guy and his background and blah, blah, blah. But to me, it's insignificant because it didn't pan out.
Yeah.
He was not the guy.
Well, sometimes if you're watching this on a show, they go through all that because it's suspenseful and it also eats up a lot of time.
Right. It just didn't, the way this guy acted when they interviewed him, he doesn't need any kind of notoriety. So I don't want to mention his name.
No,
he was
I
a
agree.
jackass.
Yeah.
And he just needs to go blend in with the dark.
Oh, dear.
Yeah. So, they focus, and unfortunately, they did focus quite a bit of time on him because he was really the only potential suspect. Mm-hmm. And to me, that's a little infuriating because I feel like, maybe you have one person focus on him, but other people should be looking at other because you're wasting precious time and energy. So, he had an airtight alibi. They did take a hair sample from him. It was not a match. So Off he goes. Off you go
into the wild blue yonder. So
now they're going to go back and kind of try to track when Kristin left her parents' house. Where did she go?
Okay.
She was a smoker. She really loved coffee. So there was a convenience store gas station just up the road from her parents' house. And she stopped there often. So police are assuming that that's where she had gone. So they go there, they ask for security tapes for that day. They've got their security tapes. Then they get some security tapes from the Trenton Club. Because they've got security in their parking lot area. So they've got, but it's hours upon hours of stuff. Right away, the convenience store, they're able, because of what time she left her house, they're able to narrow down a time frame, and they see Kristin come into the convenience store. She buys coffee, she buys cigarettes. She does not interact with anybody else in the store except for the cashier. She leaves, and you can see her car leaving the lot. So it's got 4 tires that are inflated.
It's not full of mud.
It's not full of mud. It's not dirty.
And she's in it.
She's in it. So, okay, we've got a little bit further. So however long now it takes for her to get from this convenience store to the Trenton Club is now what the heck happened. And it's not really that far. So it ends up being like maybe a 10 to 15 minute window, maybe 20.
Okay.
Investigators go and they chat with the club manager and they try to nail down a time frame for when Kristin should have been there.
Okay.
At this point, the manager tells them that he remembered seeing a man in the parking lot the morning Kristin disappeared. He said he asked the man, what are you doing here? And the man said, I just needed to get my bike. And, that was that. That was the only interaction that they had had.
Okay.
After looking at the man on the surveillance tape, they can see the man, they can see him getting a bike, they can see the exchange between the manager and the man. They feel like they need to find this guy and question him. But how the heck do you find one person in, Trenton, New Jersey, who may or may not be from there? I mean, how do you do it? Especially back then.
Yeah.
The best way to do it is going to be TV. Take to the media.
Okay.
If you go and you say, okay, we're looking for this person as a potential suspect. That's not really what they did. Kristin's parents decided that they were going to do an interview and plead for whoever has our child. We just want her back.
Okay.
Just, no harm, no foul. We just want our daughter back.
Wow, no harm, no foul.
Right. Police didn't really agree with that, but they did try and give it some media attention.
That's good.
And they just wanted anything that could lead them to somewhere. A few days after they're on TV, a few teenagers show up at the police station in Trenton, and they give police a really big break.
Oh, good for those teenagers.
Yes. Here we go.
Get ready. Strap yourself in.
All right. So these teenagers, who, by the way, are 14.
Okay.
So they're pretty young. Mm-hmm. Nowadays, I think 14-year-olds are much older. Back in the 90s,
yes.
14-year-olds, maybe not so much.
Okay.
And the teenagers have a story. They tell the police, we saw the news conference with Kristin's parents, and we feel guilty, and we felt like we just had to come forward. They had actually been in Kristin's car and had been for a ride with their uncle, who told them that he had carjacked the car from a girl and killed her.
Oh, God.
They had been too afraid.
And they just got in the car? It's like, okay, Uncle.
Well, no, I think they got in the car, and while they were in the car,
they were like, where'd you get this cool car?
They weren't like, he didn't say, hey, I carjacked and killed a girl, hop in. I don't think that's the way it went.
Because that's the way I'm thinking, and I'll be like, okay, Uncle.
I don't think that's the way it went. Pretty sure not.
Maybe you'll kill me too. Okay. Now, your version of the story makes more sense.
Okay. So, and they had not come forward because their uncle said, as they were getting out of the car, if you say anything, I'll kill you.
I'll kill you.
Right. Anyway, again, just 14. So I didn't feel
that they were credible.
No, I feel that they're credible, but I don't feel like I get why they were hesitant to come forward.
Oh my God, yeah.
So
yes,
they didn't come forward that day and say, "Hey, we got a problem."
No,
they waited.
They might have been Uncle Junior, he drinks a lot or something. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like, he's always talking about killing people. He's always got new cars. Like, he's always, he's a jokester or whatever. And then they see the news and they're like, ruh-roh.
Oh, dear.
Uncle Junior might have really done it.
Right.
Okay.
The teens do remember seeing Kristin's ID. Their uncle told them that he tried to use her debit card but couldn't get them to work. He tried to get money out of the bank. And the police, that they actually gave them a name. They gave the police the name. This man's name is Ambrose, not Ambrosia, but Ambrose.
Okay.
Harris.
Ambrose Harris.
Yes.
Okay. Ambrose. Did he go by a different name, like Uncle?
No, I think they called him Ambrose.
Dang.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'd have done that.
Yeah, no.
That's a lot of mouth.
There were no nicknames. There were no nicknames.
They didn't say.
Because later in the story,
also known as Bro.
Later in the story, there's a person that has a nickname, but there was never a nickname in anything I saw.
All right, well, let's go. What's up with Ambrose?
All right, so they've got a name. They run it in their handy-dandy database. Mm-hmm. And here's what they find out about Ambrose. He's got a record. He's been convicted of assaulting. I don't know what that is. Assaulting. Yeah. 5 other women.
Oh, gosh.
Both before and after he would have attacked Kristin. Which, again, makes me wonder, why the heck are you on the street? Like, why are you free? If it was maybe 1, I could see, okay, he's out on parole or he served his time or whatever. But 5.
That's dumb.
5.
That's dumb.
He was a serial rapist and a serial kidnapper.
That's great. That's a great resume there, Ambrose.
I know. And after his encounter with Kristin, Ambrose had been arrested and convicted of kidnapping another woman. So it was really easy to find because he was in jail.
Oh, gosh.
Of course, when investigators go to ask him about Kristin, he doesn't want to tell them anything.
No.
So he's like, I don't know what you're talking about. But the good news is, because he's a prisoner,
they can get his DNA.
They got his hair sample.
Okay.
So they take the hair, they send it off. Bingo, it's a match to what they find in Kristin's car.
Amongst the mud.
With the mud, yeah. Nice try with the mud, buddy.
What the hell?
Right. So now we've got...
He's like, I've been all up in this car. How am I going to clean it? I can't afford a vacuum. I know. I'll put mud in it.
Right. I'll just fill it with mud. My God. Brilliant.
Fruitcake.
Brilliant.
What a fruitcake. An ambrosia fruitcake.
Right. So now they know that Ambrose was in Kristin's car. They suspect that he's probably done something terrible to her.
Yeah.
But they got to find Kristin. Because they don't have Kristin. They don't have... They got nothing.
And how the hell did he get her?
Exactly. So Kristin's parents decide, all right, we're going to put up a $25,000 reward and see if maybe anybody would come forward to claim a reward, since people seem to be afraid of Ambrose. Well, lo and behold, the next day, a woman named Gloria Dunn, okay? Gloria Dunn came forward to the police. Gloria said that she was a psychic, and she had a premonition that she felt would lead police to Kristin's body.
Nice.
She takes them to a deserted wooded area in Trenton.
Okay.
She walks them over to an area where they see a shoe sticking out of a shallow grave.
Shut the front door.
It's Kristin.
Gloria found her.
They remove Kristin's body and they send it in for an autopsy.
Oh my gosh, can we just pause a minute on the psychic?
Yes.
Good job.
Now, let's talk about your psychic. Remember when we talked about your psychic that found the help? Right. Tell me what most psychics are able to do. They're able to pinpoint a general location.
Pretty much, yeah.
Very, very rarely are they able to take you directly to a grave.
Well, so what my psychic did was she knew that there was a bunch of tall white pines. It was somewhere in tall white pines. And so they were riding around town, and then they asked a ranger, like, where are we going to find a place that's got tall white pines? And he says, oh, it's going to be over in this area. And they went over there, and then she walked around, and she said, I can feel her. She is right here. So she could walk around, and she said she's here. But they couldn't dig because it was on private property.
Right.
So she may not have gone straight to the body, but she was certainly within feet of where that body was.
Right. So Magical Gloria has led them directly to the shallow grave of Kristin.
Oh.
Magical.
I'm not feeling the psychic energy anymore on Gloria.
So now they need to figure out, Gloria, how the hell did you know that?
Yeah.
And she said, I had a premonition. And then police said, Gloria?
Spell premonition. And if you can't spell it, then you're not a psychic.
How do we know, how are we going to verify that what you're telling us is true?
Give us some more
Because right now it's not
more details.
Not looking good for you.
Yeah, you're looking a little suspicious.
Exactly. As the police really start to press her, Gloria snaps and she says, I did not shoot that girl.
How did she know she was shot?
Psychic. Interesting, though, because they didn't have the autopsy report back, so they had no idea how she had died. Gloria, you got some splaining to do.
Well, now, there have been some people that have contacted people on the other side about their death, and they've been able to communicate through different signs and symbolism how they were killed.
Yes. Gloria, not so much.
Gloria!
It was very obvious that Gloria had been present when Kristin was murdered. That wicked woman.
What a little shit.
Involved in this poor girl's murder. And now she's trying to get the $25,000 reward.
What a witch. And saying I'm psychic, which then brings shade on a whole nother group of people.
She's not psychic. She's psycho.
Oh, geez. Gloria.
It's just really.
Gloria, you're done.
Eventually,
Get it?
Gloria, because she's Gloria Dunn. You get it, right?
Got it.
Eventually, Gloria admitted to police that she had, in fact, been there when Kristin's life was taken. The autopsy report on Kristin's body comes back. Kristin had been raped, shot twice in the head. There was dirt in her lungs, which means
she was buried alive.
That Kristin had been buried alive.
What the flippin' hell?
It took 3 years, but Ambrose finally stood trial for Kristin's murder.
Was Gloria on trial?
Gloria Dunn was the state star witness in the trial.
So she flipped.
Gloria flipped.
Okay.
She flipped. She testified that Ambrose came up with the idea to rob a luncheonette, which is like just a little sandwich shop, that day, because they needed money. And it was, unfortunately, it was a little rainy that day, and all he had for transportation was a bicycle. And he said, I am not riding a bike to go and rob this luncheonette. So what we need is a car.
And we need a fancy one.
I don't think he cared about what kind of car it was. It's just bad timing, because it turns out he and Gloria were right there next to the Trenton Club talking about robbing this sandwich shop.
And he needs a car.
And he needs a car.
Raining.
And then Kristin pulls into the freaking parking lot.
Oh, my God.
So Ambrose tells Gloria, I'm going to take care of this. He goes and forces Kristin out of her car and into the trunk. He puts Gloria in the passenger seat, and he and Gloria speed off into the unknown. Well, Kristin was making all kinds of noise.
Well, yeah.
She was kicking, she was screaming, and it pissed Ambrose off. And he told Gloria, we're going to have to get rid of her. So they drive out to this desolate, wooded area in Trenton, and Ambrose tells Kristin to get out of the car. And Kristin said, take my car, take my money, take everything, just
leave me alone.
Don't hurt me. Don't hurt me.
Yeah.
I won't tell anybody. I swear to you. She is pleading for her life. Instead, Ambrose decided that she needed to remove all of her clothes. He then proceeded to rape her. I won't go into detail about that.
That makes my stomach hurt.
And then, after he was done, shot her twice.
Where is Gloria during all of this?
Head.
Just watching?
Mm-hmm.
So she watched Ambrose rape this girl.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of saying, Ambrose, you're a little off track. We were just going to rob a luncheonette, and now you're doing all this.
Right.
Oh, my God.
So then Gloria and Ambrose dig a shallow grave. Ambrose throws Kristin in it.
Still alive.
Kristin is still alive. So Ambrose shot her one more time. They took $30 in cash and her ATM card. Video surveillance confirmed that Ambrose attempted to withdraw $400 from Kristin's bank account. When Ambrose was arrested for the other kidnapping that he was in jail for, he had a .22 caliber pistol on him. It was the same weapon used to murder Kristin.
What a piece of trash.
Right.
What a piece of human waste.
Right. So I went back and dug a little deeper, and I found the actual court documents. And they actually threw her into a shallow grave, threw a mattress over her. They went and did something else, but I don't recall. And then they came back, and they were going to bury her. They moved the mattress, and she's still alive, and that's when he shoots the final shot. And then they cover her back up. So, and Gloria was with them the whole time.
I think she's worse than him.
Right.
I just think I know she didn't do the deed, but to stand there, a human woman, and watch this other human woman being degraded and tortured and then murdered, and you don't do anything but, I'm going to come forward when there's money involved that I might get some money for this.
Exactly.
What a piece of trash.
Right.
And she flipped. I don't give a shit she flipped. Her ass needs to be under the jail.
Yeah. She flipped, and she ended up with only 30 years. She got 30 years in prison for her involvement.
Oh, these two people are nasty.
Oh, God.
Nasty mother truckers.
On June 8th, 1994, Ambrose Harris was convicted of murder, felony murder, kidnapping, robbery, and aggravated sexual assault. He was sentenced to death because the murder was capital murder.
Uh-huh.
But, of course, that has been overturned because they don't do the death penalty anymore.
in New
now
Jersey?
it's life without the possibility of parole. During his sentencing, Ambrose actually, in the courtroom, looked at Kristin's parents and told them that they owed him an apology because of the conviction.
What the fuck?
He said,
I'm sorry.
Sorry,
Mama. That one really that one just topped right out.
Yeah. He said, you guys are convicting me. It wasn't me. I didn't do it. And you think it's me. And he's saying all of this to her parents.
How is he even allowed to address her parents?
I guess he's allowed to address at the end, they make their impact statements, and then they ask
do you have anything to say to the court? He's not supposed to turn around and talk to them.
He did. He told her parents that he needed an apology.
I hope they stood up and, I don't even know. What can you do to a person that would just put him in his place in the courtroom without shooting him?
Right. I can't think of another thing.
I don't know what to do.
I can't think of another thing.
I think I might have laughed at him. I think I might have, out of emotional hysteria, I probably would have laughed.
Oh, and I might have said, excuse me, Your Honor, I have more to say.
Yeah, exactly. I want an addendum to my impact statement.
Yeah. Yep.
I'm sure that the judge was not happy with the situation at hand.
Oh, gosh, no. That judge really kind of came down hard on him.
I'm so glad.
He was sentenced, of course, to death, but he also got, for the capital murder charge, he was sentenced to death. Mm-hmm. But there were charges that were not capital charges.
Sure. Yeah.
And for those, he was sentenced to a total of 2 life terms plus 65 years with an 82.5-year parole disqualifier.
Nice.
And that parole disqualifier means that you are not up for parole until you have served at least 82.5 years.
Nice.
And Ambrose was not a young, spry chicken.
Right.
I think he was in his 40s when this happened. So, there you go. The two of them are in jail. Now,
still?
While
Gloria's still there?
Well, 30 years. So this happened, she probably was sentenced in 93 or 94.
Yeah, okay.
So she's still there, but, I don't know
years,
about her parole.
Exactly. If she didn't have a parole disqualifier, then...
There really was there was not a lot of media coverage about her.
Yeah.
So it really, technically could have been a he said, she said. He could have come back and said, hey, it wasn't me, she did it.
Oh, she raped her.
But she flipped, right?
Yeah.
Right.
The first one to talk gets the deal.
Exactly.
That's how it is.
Right. Unfortunately, she talked about being a psychic, but whatever. They got Ambrose in jail. Now, Ambrose, while incarcerated. Whilst incarcerated, Ambrose went ahead and murdered another convict. Mudman Simon, his name Mudman.
Is that ironic or not?
It is kind of ironic.
I wonder if he just was upset about the name. Like, I should be called Mudman because I put mud in the girl's car.
Maybe.
And now you got Mudman and I want Mudman, and the only way for me to get Mudman is to murder you.
Yeah. So Ambrose, he's not going to see the light of day.
Well, he shouldn't even be around people. To be honest with you, the only just punishment for him would be for him to be raped daily, for him to not ever have clothes on, for him to have to sleep in a ditch with a dirty mattress over him. Well, that's the only justice.
With some mud in his cell, yeah. Mm-hmm. I don't think that he's getting that kind of...
No, he's not.
But I'm sure he's not enjoying jail in Trenton, New Jersey.
Okay. I understand he's probably not enjoying it, but maybe he is, because he's the kind of person that would just fit right in.
Maybe.
He's disgusting. He's a piece of human waste.
So
I don't think that he was born of God. I think he was born of the devil.
I concur. I absolutely concur. And if we do go on a prison tour, I don't even want to go to this one because I don't want to have to think about him again. I only want to think
I'm going to go talk to Gloria.
All the wonderful things that he took away from that family and the possibility and potential for that beautiful artist.
Yes.
To have grown into something remarkable.
And to have such an impact on the art world.
Right.
And she was just starting out. Because he needed to rob a luncheonette and he didn't want to do it on his bike in the rain.
Which, by the way, he never did.
He never got around to
he got $30.
Yeah.
And an ATM card he couldn't use.
Yeah. And that's what her life was worth?
Right. That's
what and Gloria didn't get shit.
No, she got nothing. She got nothing.
I'm going to see Gloria. I need to speak with her. I have such things to say.
Yeah.
I have such things.
Yeah.
Such things.
Let me know how it goes.
I'm gonna. You can just give me a ride and wait outside.
Okay.
Because I'm going. Mother.
I mean,
French fry. I don't like her.
What kind of person?
She's not a person. She's not a person. She's not humane.
She's not.
Neither one of them are.
No.
That was heinous.
It was
Sugar.
terrible.
That was quite heinous.
It was.
Both of our murders today were quite
Murder is heinous.
murderous.
Murders are murderous. Oh my gosh.
No.
Would a cookie make you feel better?
So much better.
All right. Well,
yes. So give me a cookie.
I'm going to say right here, right now to our fans, I have given up bad carbs.
Let's don't call them bad carbs because we bake them so they can't be but so bad. They're the kind of carbs that don't agree with you.
Bad for me carbs.
Yeah. We don't want you all to stop listening because you found out that we're baking bad carbs.
Crazy skin rash on my fingers. And I know I'm allergic to something, but I don't know what it is. And my allergist is not of the thinking that we need to test for food allergies, unfortunately.
You need a different one.
I had no choice but to give up all the things that I thought could possibly be leading me down this road of this terrible rash I was getting on my hands. And it was for almost a year I had that rash. It's gone. Now I have to figure out why. I don't know if it's a gluten sensitivity or what, but so I won't be tasting the cookie today.
I will
rely on Karen and her
because I need it for my healing.
She needs it for her healing.
So they're not bad carbs because in this instance they're healing carbs.
Healing carbs for Karen.
That's right. Well, go ahead. Give me a cookie.
Oh, you really want me to?
I mean, I'm not pretending here.
You really are going to eat a cookie?
I'm really going to. I am because these people need to know how good they are, and I need to let you know how yummy they are.
Yes. Well, hopefully I got
They
it
smell
all,
delicious.
all the balance right.
My kitchen smells like hearts of love.
Oh, lots of love went into the making of these cookies.
I know. I can smell it.
They look beautiful.
They're gorgeous color. They got little teeny specks of nutmeg.
Nutmeg. What the heck?
And they're just golden brown on the bottom and they're shiny. There's everything about them.
Oh, nice.
Oh, good. Mm-hmm.
Yeah?
Sugar, you know it.
Oh, right.
Guys, y'all gotta get this recipe.
Yes. Send us an email.
Send us an email. And you can do that on murder.sugarcoated.gmail.com.
Yeah.
We love y'all.
We do. Have a wonderful week.
Stay sweet.
Don't kill people.
Don't murder.
Don't murder.
Because if you kill people,
we will talk about you.
But we love you. Bye now.
Thank you for listening to Believe. You can show support to your host by subscribing to the show and giving us a 5-star rating on your preferred platform. Check us out at Believe.com and search for BLEAV on YouTube.